They say dreams are like the mind's way of trying to fix your problems in the real world. In Dreams is an animated Netflix original where a young girl named Stevie and her little brother Elliot must try to find a way to keep their parents together by going through some dreams that turn into more nightmarish scenarios than they could have ever thought possible. Every time they dream, they must find a way to have unity and find a way to get back to the real world. It is still continuously hassling Rob Thomas nearly 30 years later. Curse you, 90s pop music. Was Matchbox 20 pop? Yeah, probably. So, nevertheless, yes, it's a standard Netflix animated fare that actually has a couple nice little themes about it, a couple cool characters. I would go to war for Chad because he is my spirit animal. And there's also a stuffed animal named Baloney Tony that's a weird giraffe donkey thing. I don't know what the fuck that thing's necessarily supposed to be. And there are a few neat little cute moments, and also pretty much the biggest named actor in this whole production is Simu Liu, however you say that, who was in Barbie, the one that wanted to beach off Ken, and also was in Shang-Chi and the Seven Rings thing, whatever the hell that full title was. Other than that, you just get a 80-minute movie. Actually, I think it's just under 80 minutes once the credits start rolling. For Netflix must have like 15 minutes worth of credits to credit all the voice actors that dubbed the stuff in various countries, and also, because it's an animated movie, a lot of fingers were in the proverbial pie. It's not a bad movie by any stretch of the imagination, but you have seen stuff like this done better, not even by better studios, just done by people that maybe are ready to explore things a little further. Sure, children don't want to see their parents necessarily grow apart, as is tradition with like anybody. Nobody would want to fucking see that. Sometimes life takes you in a different way, but the real true parents will always make sure that they are there for their children no matter what. So yeah, did I spoil the movie? Pretty much. Maybe I didn't. You'll have to find out here in a little bit. I did like the Sandman world. That was kind of cool. Night Mara, this, the Queen of Nightmares, had kind of a cool look. But other than that, a lot of the animation was just standard. And really, this just kind of will leave your memory. I'm struggling to remember a whole bunch about this as I look at my notes. So, that being said, I'm going to get into spoilers, but it is on Netflix if you want to check it out. Your kids may enjoy it, you might too, or fall asleep drunk. 3, 2, 1, spoilers. So, we get some needle drops. Hey Ya by Outkast. And, dreams becoming nightmarish is bound to happen, especially for children. There's a stuffed animal, the stuffed animal Baloney Tony, and some other animals that Elliot has. Elliot also leaves a trail of baloney so Tony can find his way back to bed. Again, there are some jokes. I don't necessarily know if they're going to appeal to adults. Maybe they'll appeal to children. By the way, if you're going to leave meat out for your stuffed animal, kid, you might need some fucking therapy. It's standard, but it is what it is. There is a sweet message about family. Families love conquering all, regardless of whether people stay together or not. Stevie is convinced that her parents are going to get divorced. The mother wants to take a job in Duluth because it pays better. That is a very depressing sentence that you want to go to fucking Duluth. And no, I've never actually been to Duluth. I've just heard stories. Horror stories, good stories? You decide. For those in Duluth that have internet, all three of you, tell me about how Duluth actually is. So there is a book that they found at a store that Elliot procured, shall we say. He said, well, it said priceless. That means it's free. Because he's a dumb kid. But anyway, the Sandman to give her dreams. And basically, if you want the Sandman to grant your dreams, you just have to fight through these scenarios. Stay asleep long enough to reach him, and he will make all your dreams come true. There is a self-propelled bed straight out of the Finding Nemo Adventures in Slumberland Nemo. That's the one I meant. If Nemo was on a flying bed, he wouldn't last very long, for he is a fish, and he needs water. Curse that stupid little brace-possessing brat, by the way, that shook him around. Hope that kid had a miserable goddamn life, animated as she was. So the mom is trying to do what's best. The dad isn't sure that he wants to necessarily go because they used to be in a band together, but things have changed. Basically, the music wasn't paying the bills, as is tradition usually when you are a struggling artist. There is a giant cereal dream with a bunch of snacks and stuff and everything. Hungry Eyes by Eric Carmen was played when Baloney Tony was found, and I don't necessarily know why we needed that needle drop of that piece of shit. But if you stay in the dreams, then you can find the Sandman. Also, they are cyclically linked because they read the chant at the same time, or the saying, or the quote, or whatever the fuck it was. Mom got the job in Duluth while they're at a pizza joint. The pizza joint, by the way, had Don't Ya by the Pussycat Dolls played. Why is that song in a kid's movie? I'm just seriously... Also, why are the fucking Pussycat Dolls getting any play in 2025 when none of them really had any talent? So, what is next? Basically, Stevie decides we're going to stay asleep. We're going to go to the Sandman. We are going to have our parents stay together. Sweet Dreams are made of these, by the way. Sweet Dreams plays by the Eurythmics. More dreams, not nightmares into dreams, or whatever the title of that Sega Saturn game was. And earlier, Elliot saw some comic books, including one called Dynamite Fist, and it's not actual fist made of dynamite, which leads us to a Dynamite Fist thing, because, you know, he's a kid and he has these imaginations. So you got to find the castle. I'm sure the dynamite fisting thing won't come back into play. And there's a Mr. Sandman. The guy voicing Mr. Sandman is fine enough. Again, there's all the sand lanes. I do love Chad just because of how lazy he is. He's like the producer, unless you get the producer food, and then he'll eat, and then he'll go back to being Chad. So they are going to turn this hourglass, and once this hourglass totally runs out, their dream will be fully formed, and they will stay in it forever. So in this dream, Stevie and Elliot have perfect parents, everything's fine, but none of it's real. They weren't there long enough. Stevie decides she can't go back to the possibility of her parents splitting up, so she stays in the dream. Elliot gets cast out, and the Sandman has another victim, because it turns out the Sandman sorta is the bad guy. Nightmare isn't. And now she is in a coma in the real world. And Elliot has a bright idea. Hey, wait a second. I'm going to go back to sleep. There's this weird turtle sleep thing that automatically puts him to sleep. It's Yertle the turtle. It's secreting turtle wax. It's doing a whole bunch of stuff. It's turtle power, as it were. So he is flying his bed, trying to get there. He manages to get to the Sandman's lair and is going to try to free Stevie. It turns out Nightmare helped him, said, sure, I'm trying to basically keep the balance here. He wants everything to be all happy, but you need the bad to go with the good. And also the nightmares are just a reminder that things can be bad, but it's just, at the end of the day, something in your head, you will wake up from it. And you gotta find something that's, been there for you. We see a flashback of her and Elliot, younger, trying to get a toy out. A stuffed toy. She couldn't get a stuffed bear as her last dollar with one of those. Ooh, that claw machine. And he says, oh, we can share Baloney Tony, because it will always be there for you. Oh. And then she's going to try to get out. Enter Sandman by Weezer plays. Weezer did a version of Enter Sandman? Why? Who asked for this? The Metallica one might have been a little bit too much, but you could have done Motorhead. That would have been a hell of a lot better than Weezer. By the way, the dad and the mom show up to help, because why not at this point? They end up getting free, and Chad ends up pulling the rest of the Sandman away so he can teach him a lesson. Or fall asleep, because Chad is known to do that. So we then get the anime stuff where they break the hourglass, and that's it. They break the hourglass so nobody can have their dreams formed. You just ran the Sandman out of a goddamn job. Now Chad's going to have to take over. More stuff will get done with Chad taking over. So they're going to go to Duluth. And there you are. They're going to go to Duluth. All of them. Parents are going to work stuff out. Maybe it'll work. Maybe it won't. Dad's going to write music. Mom's got a higher paying job. And then stuff falls out of the truck, and that is the end of our movie. Until a mid-credit scene where the boy that worked at the bookshop that also worked as the mascot at the pizza shop. I know it's a tough economy, but you're near Duluth, Georgia. It can't be... Whatever, it's fine. He finds the book, looks at it, and then throws it away. And that is it. That is our movie. That is in your dreams. It is what it is. It's fine. C+. It's fine. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Rightland. Until we dream off into Never Never Land again, that's something else. Happy trails to you.